Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor to be with you in Rabat. What a fantastic event for me to join you with. My name is Eleni Jakas. I'm an anchored correspondent at CNN. We cover so many of these incredible African stories. My job is to go around the continent and to search for incredible things that are happening, of quantum leaps, leaving legacy systems behind and seeing the incredible growth that is possible on this continent. One of the most important things that has been happening around the world is, of course, the transformation within the digital world. And Africa has absolutely been well known for evolving digital payment systems. Now, the question that I ask myself is the next leap forward, digital currencies, and the role that all of you will have to play in this journey. So I'd like to welcome everyone here. MD, Kristalina Georgieva, please join me back on stage. Thank you for hosting this. Abdellatif Jouari, Governor of the Bank of Al-Maghrib. Sir, welcome back. Yes, please, next to me. Jean-Claude Kassi BROU, Governor for Central Bank for West African Economic and Monetary Union. Welcome, sir. Can we get a round of applause, please? Thank you. Abdulrahman Al-Hamidi, Director General, Chairman of the Board Arab Monetary Fund. Fantastic. Welcome, sir. All right, we've got lots to get to. Governor BROU, I'd like to start with you. And we've ascertained, even from the commentary from Governor Jouari and as well as the MD, that there's opportunity, right, with CBDCs. Low and middle income countries are showing interest. We've ascertained this. And big in retail digital money in particular because of its potential, right? Financial inclusion is something that we cover quite extensively. And of course, it's a big question. What would you say the state of financial inclusion is right now within the West African Economic and Monetary Union, and how CBDCs could play a role in bridging that gap?
Merci beaucoup. Merci et bonjour. Je voudrais, avant de répondre à la question, saisir cette opportunité pour remercier le gouverneur Jouari de la Banque Al-Maghrib et Madame Georgina, directeur général du Fonds monétaire, pour nous avoir associés à cette rencontre extrêmement importante qui va nous permettre de débattre d'un sujet très en vigueur aujourd'hui, pratiquement dans toutes les banques centrales, c'est-à-dire l'utilisation de monnaies numériques de banques centrales. Comme cela a été indiqué, c'est un sujet où certaines banques centrales, quelques-unes, sont déjà très en avance, elles ont déjà des monnaies numériques de banques centrales. Beaucoup de banques centrales sont dans la phase où des projets pilotes vont être lancés, mais la majorité est dans la phase de réflexion, dans la phase d'analyse, dans la phase d'appréciation des avantages que pourrait apporter une monnaie numérique de banque centrale. Et au niveau de la BCEAO, nous sommes un peu dans cette phase, parce que nous pensons qu'il est important d'avoir clairement les objectifs que l'on veut atteindre, comment apprécier les défis que cela comporte et comment minimiser, gérer les risques que cela aussi apporte. Donc, nous avons une réflexion, bien sûr, de l'introduction du monnaie numérique de banque centrale. Nous avons identifié trois objectifs pour nous qui sont essentiels. Le premier objectif, c'est l'inclusion financière. Et le deuxième, c'est évidemment l'utilisation très forte que nous avons donc de pièces et de billets dans notre union monétaire, donc la circulation fiduciaire qui est très élevée. Et enfin, troisième objectif, c'est les paiements transfrontaliers, puisque nous faisons partie d'un groupement assez large, et donc il y a beaucoup de transactions qui se font entre les pays. Et donc, voilà un peu les trois éléments que nous voyons comme qui pourraient être des objectifs que l'utilisation d'une monnaie numérique de banque centrale pourrait aider à contribuer à améliorer. Alors, pour revenir peut-être à la question de l'inclusion financière, c'est vrai que pour une union monétaire comme la nôtre, c'est-à-dire 8 pays, 137 millions d'habitants, l'inclusion financière dans les années 2014-2015 était quand même à un niveau faible. Et donc la priorité a été mise sur les mesures à mettre en œuvre pour améliorer cette inclusion financière. L'évaluation donnait un taux d'inclusion financière, c'est-à-dire le nombre de banques, de comptes dans les banques et dans les secteurs non bancaires par rapport à la population de plus de 15 ans, autour de 30%. C'était vraiment très faible. Et donc, il nous fallait rapidement mettre en œuvre des mesures pour corriger cela. Et donc, ce que nous avons fait, c'est immédiatement d'autoriser les établissements, les banques et les secteurs non bancaires à émettre de la monnaie numérique. Nous avons facilité pour les institutions de microfinance, dont le rôle et l'objectif est de toucher les zones rurales. Donc, nous avons mis en place, parce qu'elles avaient des moyens limités, nous avons mutualisé les plateformes informatiques pour leur permettre justement d'émettre également de la monnaie numérique. Et nous avons également mis en place, donc commencé les réflexions pour permettre donc les questions d'interopérabilité, justement pour permettre et faciliter donc la pénétration donc des comptes des services financiers dans les zones rurales. Et ces mesures ont donné quand même quelques résultats, puisque en 2022, lorsque nous avons refait un peu les évaluations, nous avons atteint un taux d'inclusion financière autour de 80%. Donc c'était déjà un progrès qui était quand même, positif. Mais les défis sont toujours là. Nous avons bien sûr, comme on l'a dit, une marge de progression encore en termes de monnaie de pénétration. Nous avons le secteur rural, nous avons les femmes par exemple qui sont très actives dans les zones rurales mais qui n'ont toujours pas suffisamment accès aux services financiers. Nous avons également la circulation fiduciaire, comme je l'ai évoqué, qui est très élevée parce que l'économie reste encore très informelle. Près de 25% de la masse monétaire, c'est de la circulation fiduciaire, c'est-à-dire les billets et les monnaies. Ça a un coût, bien sûr, pour nous. Et donc là, il faut que nous travaillions donc, à travers éventuellement les monnaies numériques de Banque Centrale à faire donc, baisser l'utilisation des coûts, l'utilisation donc, de la circulation fiduciaire et les paiements transfrontaliers. Nous sommes 8 pays d'une union monétaire dans un ensemble de 15 pays, donc la CEDEAO.
On that note, Governor, if I may interject, the cross-border payments is really fascinating given the continental free trade area and the headway we're seeing with that. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest themes. We have so much to get to you on. I'm going to just try and get everyone else weighing in on some of the incredible themes that you brought up so we can take the conversation forward. Abdul Rahman, great to have you with us. Thank you so much. I'm calling you by your first name because we're such good friends. Great to have you with us. Look, we've heard, from Gouverneur BROU in terms of, what they're focusing on, and clearly this could absolutely bring down cost. But there are a few issues in terms of what challenges we could see. In the same breath, I want you to give me a sense of what we're seeing in terms of developing CBDCs regionally and what you've come across in terms of being able to implement them. What are the biggest things that you've come across in terms of challenges?
صباح الخير جميعا. Very good morning to all of you, and let me start by thanking Bank Al-Maghrib, the governor and the managing director of the IMF for the invitation. And I'm very happy to be in this beautiful country, and we will gather again for so many activities to come, especially the annual meetings that will be held in Marrakesh. And I am so anxious and excited to be there, and I know the world institutions and regional institutions will be there. And I would like also to thank the IMF Managing Director for being our main partner in the region for so many activities that we carry together. First of all, let us, by looking to our region, also to Africa, the you know, the population is mostly young. So issues of technology, issues of you know, the use of fintech, and now we are in a world where is a technology revolution. So you know, the world globally is going into that direction, along with the CBDC and also in our region. We have sent a survey to our central banks, and 17 of those central banks did answer that survey. And about more than 70% of them are, you know, thinking of the CBDCs, and about 18% have already taken an initiative to go into or having proposals for those CBDCs. Now, the challenges in our region are similar to the rest of the world. Yeah. This is a new, you know, a new move, and you know, the governor was, you know, in his opening remarks, he took us through the history of money, and up to this moment, we are going into digitization. So what central banks in our region indicated on the result of that survey, there is nothing new in our region of the challenges. It's a global, and I thank the IMF and the World Bank for taking the lead. So we will have, you know, we will try to be able to face those global challenges. Now, you know, the objectives got to be clarified, and I agree with the governor. The financial inclusion in Africa and our region is very critical, and the accessibility to finance in order to be able to create jobs for the youth. There's, you know, about 60% of the population in our region are very, very young, and there are challenges coming in terms of their employment, in terms of access to finance, and you know, the unemployment rate is in our region higher than the average, and therefore moving into digitization hopefully will have, you know, open the opportunity for access to finance, and therefore, you know, we as a regional institution, we work very closely with our central banks. We have issued guidelines on the on how to design CBDCs, and we have organized, again, Kristalina mentioned the workshop we have organized at the level of the region, where a good number of central bank governors in our region have participated in that. But again, challenges are similar.
But generally, there's an embracing of CBDCs.
Yes, there is
by the governors.
There is a good number of central banks in our region are moving into that direction.
Fantastic. MD, I'm coming to you now. And I mean, look, the cross-border trade issue, cross-border payments has got to be one of the biggest issues facing the continent, specifically when you want to increase integration. There's so many businesses that I speak to that say, you know, moving from one currency to another, that experience such huge depreciation that, I mean, you know the issues on the ground. How do you think CBDCs could help smooth things out, and what is the IMF doing to help formulate those structures? There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me first say that I am only going to soccer for inspiration. The Atlas Alliance demonstrated what it means to mobilize for purpose. I told them that our annual meetings are like the financial equivalent of World Cup, so that we take inspiration for them, we play like the Atlas Lions. Now, this let me go to the importance of the discussion we have today. I did mention in my opening how much gets into hands of intermediaries at a loss to the people for whom this transfer is directed for remittances. But let me add another much bigger figure, 120 billion, which is the cost for cross-border operations for businesses. There is about 23 trillion plus that gets in from one place to another. And the payment systems we have today do lead to a significant cost. So we have to work hard to reduce this cost, increase the efficiency of our economies. What is the policy challenge for cross-border payments when we talk about CBDCs? There are three. First, we need to have common settlement asset. So if you are to have dollar CBDC, dirham CBDC exchange, there has to be common settlement that says, okay, this exchange is possible. Second, we need common legal and regulatory frameworks. We have some, but far from what is necessary. And third, we need shared infrastructure. So the work is significant that we have to do for CBDCs to play a role. If we are successful, tremendous benefit. So we are inspired to be successful for that reason. You ask a very important question, what do we do? So at the IMF, we are working on that broad principle of interoperability. And we look at these three challenges systematically. First, on common assets. A very important way to achieve it is to tokenize central bank reserves. In other words, make central bank reserves all under a common denominator by tokenizing these reserves. When we talk about regulatory framework, well, this is where the importance of systematically identifying what needs to be regulated the same way in different countries is so important. And that kind of exchange we have today, our engagements, they are the pathway for that common regulatory framework. Ultimately, we also need common infrastructure. And this is the notion of a platform that we at the IMF are developing. And as I said, Tobias will give you the details. But basically what it is to make the connectivity, the interoperability possible through that common platform. What would happen if we fail? Well, then we would have, unfortunately, settlement blocks. Yeah. Some currencies talk to each other and others don't. In a world of economic fragmentation, this is the last thing we want. So at the IMF, we believe that our role to systematically advance on these three key issues and get a partnership, and this is very important, a partnership of all institutions, obviously the Arab Monetary Fund, the central banks of individual countries, BIS, the Bank for International Settlement, FSB, we all working together, we can have answers to these questions that make interoperability not a term, but reality.
So I'm hearing two things, and very quickly, just to confirm, you don't think that true economic integration can happen without what you're saying? And then secondly, what timeline are we looking at here?
So economic integration can progress, of course, without having the CBDCs connecting to each other. Why? Because we have our kind of traditional settlement systems that are based on still digital, because we use transfers that are done digitally. We don't carry big bags of cash from one country to another. Wow. The problem is that if countries develop CBDCs, but they develop them only for domestic deployment, we are underutilizing their capacity.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Governor Jauhari, great to have you with us. Fantastic opening statement and really set the scene for us. I want you to give me a sense of the motivation why Bank Al-Maghrib initiated the CBDC project, what kind of gains and momentum you've been seeing, and what are the gaps that you're hoping to close? And I know financial inclusion clearly is one of those objectives.
Oui, madame. Je pense, peut-être pour placer le décor, je rejoins beaucoup de choses qu'a dit Jean-Claude. Évidemment, d'abord l'importance du cash à cause de l'informel. Certaines des études chez nous le fixent à 30%. Avec le Covid. Et après le Covid, nous sommes restés avec des pourcentages d'augmentation de la circulation financière importante. Par ailleurs, malgré un système bancaire performant et l'effort qu'il fournit, la bancarisation, d'après l'enquête Findex Banque mondiale, nous sommes à 51%. Et donc, nous avons mis une stratégie nationale en 2019, mais qui fait ressortir exactement ce qu'a dit Jean-Claude, c'est-à-dire ceux qui sont les moins servis, qui ont le plus de difficultés d'accès aux services financiers, c'est-à-dire les jeunes, les femmes rurales, en particulier les TPE. Et évidemment, la communauté marocaine à l'étranger, la diaspora, elle représente en 2022, sur le plan de rémittance, 8% du PIB, ce qui n'est pas négligeable. Donc tout ça nous a mis... mais je pense que malgré, je dirais, ces spécificités de pays en développement, reste que la réflexion pour une monnaie banque centrale numérique ne peut pas être étrangère à ce que vont devenir nos missions fondamentales, qu'est la politique monétaire, la stabilité monétaire, les moyens de paiement. Donc nous avons mis en place un comité de réflexion avec précisément ces deux étages de priorité. Ce que peut être une monnaie de détail, ce que peut être aussi une monnaie de groupe. Le tout, qu'est-ce qui va être impliqué? Nous n'en sommes qu'au début. Et nous sommes au début avec une réflexion qui est que les changements de paradigme, les innovations technologiques nous imposent aussi de nous inscrire dans cette voie. Autrement, la fracture numérique et digitale entre pays développés et en voie de développement va encore s'élargir d'une façon invraisemblable. Je rejoins ce qu'a dit Kristalina. À certaines choses, puisque la problématique est mondiale, il faut que le début des solutions soit mondial. Et que par conséquent, ensemble, on pose des règles de réglementation. Ceci dit, je ne pense pas que le problème et la solution technologique puisse être la plus difficile. Vu ce qu'on voit au niveau des innovations, la rapidité avec laquelle vont les innovations. Le problème se posera vraisemblablement au niveau politique. Et là, c'est encore une autre paire de manches. Parce que déjà, dans ce que nous faisons ensemble maintenant, nous, en tant que pays en voie de développement par rapport à un partenaire comme l'Europe, nous voyons déjà les difficultés en ce qui concerne précisément les transferts de nos nationaux dans ces régions-là. L'activité bancaire de nos banques dans cette région-là. Yeah. Comment voulez-vous, avec une situation de difficulté comme ça, passer tout de suite à une étape de dire nous allons trouver des solutions adaptées au numérique pour pouvoir faire ensemble ce saut qualitatif. Je l'espère, mais peut-être que je ne serai pas à ma responsabilité quand ça viendra. Voilà, merci.
Governor, with you at the helm, I'm sure you are going to push very hard for this. Really illuminating. So There's no political will, is that what you're saying right now, Governor? Not enough? Pushback? What is going on? It's a safe space. You can tell us what you're thinking.
Non, je vais vous dire. Regardez, comme l'a dit Kristalina, regardez la fragmentation où nous sommes. Quelle est géopolitique? On est presque en train de revivre des guerres de civilisation. Et vous voulez ramasser ça à travers des solutions qui soient des solutions innovantes, c'est vrai. Mais c'est pour cela que je dis, moi, en tant que Banque Centrale et à l'expérience que j'ai vécue depuis 60 ans, j'appelle ça la démarche de chameau. Vous savez ce que c'est la démarche de chameau? Le chameau pose un pied. Et quand il est sûr, c'est à ce moment-là qu'il pose le deuxième pied. Eh bien, faisons la démarche de chameau. Faisons le premier pied, qu'il soit sûr, et après on posera le second.
Thank you. Okay. Governor, okay, very quickly, MD, and then I'll go to the rest of the team. Tell me. Yes.
I thought when I came to Morocco that playing soccer is going to be my biggest achievement. I think camel riding is going to be my biggest achievement. I want to make 2 points.
Yeah.
The first one is that we are in a highly uncertain time.
Yeah.
And yes, when you walk through fog, you have to be very agile. You put one foot and then the other, as the governor said. It is more uncertain time, and this more uncertain time requires more cooperation, not less. And I would appeal to all of us, not as policymakers, but as mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers. We bear responsibility for the future, and the future cannot be a world teared apart. So let's take that message. We need to work together seriously. My second point is actually a very important one, and it is a point about leapfrogging. Yes, Governor, there is risk of digital divide that deepens, but there is also an opportunity for emerging markets, for developing economies to leapfrog on the basis of new technology, not being stuck in well-developed systems. Yes. And I think that there is a chance for developing countries, as Kenya did with M-Pesa,
exactly,
to bring us forward. And I would very much want to see the dynamism and creativity of emerging markets deployed as we discuss CBDCs and their future.
Thank you for that point. Incredible. I was just recently in Kenya, and I was asking, what is the next big digital transformation, and I'm hoping this is it. I know, Governor, you want to say something, but let me go to Governor BROU and also Abdul Rahman. Governor BROU, I have to get you in here. Just give me a sec. We have to extend time, by the way, to the organizers, please. Okay, so Governor BROU, there's a few things that really struck me, and the informal sector is absolutely vital. You know it, I know it. Anyone that goes, into remote areas of the continent knows how important it is to include the woman in the village. It's so important. In your path with CBDCs, how do you foresee this happening? How quickly can it happen to transform and reach those goals? Because yes, we're talking about it at macro level, and we can see what it will do for multinationals and institutions, fantastic. But can we get the people that need it most in remote areas that are informally trading to adopt CBDCs? What would that look like?
Oui, merci beaucoup. Je pense qu'effectivement, s'il y a un aspect positif que nous voyons, pour lequel nous pensons que la monnaie numérique de Banque Centrale peut apporter quelque chose, c'est vraiment d'essayer de toucher le plus loin possible les populations qui sont les plus défavorisées. Parce qu'une monnaie numérique de Banque Centrale, d'abord, il y a la confiance. Parce que l'émetteur, c'est une institution publique, l'institut d'émission, ça donne confiance. Deuxièmement, ça touche directement, donc ça évite l'intermédiation, ça réduit le coût, et donc ça peut être un facteur pour stimuler l'utilisation par ces personnes-là. Et je voudrais peut-être lier à cet aspect la question des transactions transfrontalières. C'est important parce que nous avons beaucoup d'activités économiques, commerciales qui se passent entre les frontières. Les statistiques officielles dans notre région parlent, dans la région Afrique de l'Ouest, autour de 15%, mais c'est des statistiques officielles. Nous sommes convaincus qu'il y a beaucoup d'activités informelles qui se passent, donc il y a des paiements qui se font. Et donc une monnaie digitale de banque centrale pourrait, en facilitant donc, ces opérations, accroître le volume des échanges. Et ça également, c'est un aspect qui est positif. Et c'est pour ça que et je voudrais rejoindre un aspect qui a été évoqué par Madame la directrice générale. Nous travaillons déjà sur l'harmonisation d'une plateforme de paiement, système de paiement conjoint au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Ouest au sens large, pour justement faciliter ces paiements. Et donc, ce travail est très avancé. Et au niveau de l'Association des banques centrales africaines, il y a des travaux qui sont actuellement en cours, justement, pour aller dans le sens d'un système de paiement au niveau continental qui va soutenir et supporter le paiement entre les différents pays africains. Donc, pour aller dans le sens de facilitation des paiements, et bon, je ne parlerai même pas des remittances, qui sont très importants, puisque nous avons beaucoup de remittances. C'est vrai qu'il y a des remittances entre les pays du Nord et les pays du Sud, mais même entre les pays du Sud, il y a beaucoup de remittances qui se font d'un pays à un autre, pour lesquels les paiements sont très coûteux, très chers, donc encore très inefficaces. Donc un système de paiement harmonisé qui prenne en compte les différents systèmes permettrait donc de réduire les coûts et de faciliter ces paiements. Puis enfin, terminer, je dirais qu'effectivement, il nous faut beaucoup de coopération, parce que c'est vrai qu'il y a encore quelques difficultés, et je partage l'appréciation de mon ami le gouverneur Jouari, mais bon, il faut qu'on reste, qu'on soit optimiste. Je pense qu'il est très optimiste également. À travers la coopération, je pense qu'on va certainement réduire les différences et pouvoir avancer, parce que c'est dans l'intérêt et le bénéfice de toutes les parties. Merci.
Fantastic. Thank you, Governor. Abdul Rahman, okay, I want to talk about international cooperation. I want to talk about how to get the public sector and private sector working together in this regard. We know what the challenges are. It's usually bureaucracy and policy and pushback on that. But we both live in the UAE. We know how quickly things happen there. You have an idea, you push forward. Tell me about how we can get everyone working together.
Thank you very much. Let me please elaborate on some issues that are being raised.
Thank you.
One is the cross-border payments. And we at the Arab Monetary Fund, under the Council of Central Bank Governors, have established a new institution. It is now up and running, and I thank the IMF and the World Bank for cooperating with us during the establishment. And this new institution, which is BUNA payment platform, is supposed to facilitate cross-border payments and also facilitate financial inclusion. And I thank both Bank Al-Maghrib and Central Bank of Tunisia and central banks in our region. Both central banks are connected to this new institution. And we are now, there are transactions between countries in our region. There are 4 currencies from our region that are being used for cross-border payments, and 2 international currencies. Now, why is this? Is exactly for streamlining payments, streamlining payment systems, standardization, issues of compliance, issues of cost. You know, the managing director stated that there are $45 billion stays with the intermediaries when it comes to remittances. And that's what she said in her opening speech. Now, with this institution, we will be able to bring down the cost. We are now in the middle of connecting with Africa, for example, also for those reasons.
Is there a risk in terms of crypto filling the gap instead of CBDCs if central banks don't hustle on this and act quickly?
You know, I am an ex-central banker and I believe in central banks. So central banks' digital currencies are going to take over. So we all believe in central banks. We all believe in what they do. We trust what they do.
Yeah.
We know who they are.
But you need to act quickly or else, you know, crypto could...
Yeah, but there are going to be initiatives here and there all the time. However, central banks are now working to fill in if there is any gap. So with that new institution, which meets the international standards, and because of the governors, they have insisted on this new institution to really meet the international standards and also to be able to use the cross-border payment. And now also it's meeting the G20 requirements of cross-border payments, and it's been taken as an example of a showcase for the G20 requirements of cross-border. And I really would like to thank the central banks in this region because they made it possible. The issue of financial inclusion is very important. Yeah. We still have you know, a relatively high percentage outside the financial sector. And one of the reasons because of, you know, banking products not necessarily geared towards small, medium-sized enterprises and also individuals, specifically young females in our region. And we have to have an inclusive financial sector in order to reduce that informal economy. And therefore, this hopefully new institution will help also to address that issue. And therefore, you know, with what we are talking, the topic we are talking about today is CBDC. What can we do in order to have an inclusive financial system, in order to meet the you know, developmental sustainable developmental goals by 2030? I think that's very critical, and we all need to work together. And I'm very happy, and from our region point of view, in cooperation with international institutions, so we all streamline the standards and have that for the outreach. Now, working from Abu Dhabi, we work with the 22 Arab countries, so we are owned by the 22 Arab governments, and therefore, yeah, there are, you know, there are countries in our region are different stages of development. There are countries where the private sector is playing a great role. There is countries where the, you know, private-public partnership is also, you know, in the leadership. And you know, the IMF is, and I think the IMF is very involved with, you know, economic programs with a good number of our region, a good number of countries in our region, and we facilitate in that. And therefore, now, what works, what would not work, that would depend on, we don't have one size fits all, neither at the IMF, nor at the AMF, nor in any institution. And a country got to identify what work for it is specific circumstances, and we at the AMF and international institutions would be able to be in a situation where we can help them. And yeah, there are countries that things are working probably better. The challenges are less, but the challenges is still there.
Work together like a tight soccer team is what we need to do. Okay, we're wrapping up. MD, I'd like to hear from you. I know you wanted to comment on crypto, but these are closing statements, please.
Yes, okay. The 2 points I want to close with. First, we have to recognize that the prerequisite for success of moving in this world of digital currencies is physical infrastructure for connectivity. And I am very keen to see high ambition for the African continent. Every African citizen, business, public institution connected to the internet. Because if we don't fulfill that basic requirement, that what the governor said, digital divide within countries, across countries, can indeed deepen. We are very fortunate today that the new president of the World Bank comes from the from the financial inclusion world. As a former head of MasterCard, he did a lot in that regard. And I think that we all, the regional development banks, World Bank, national governments, we have to all recognize the criticality of bringing the physical infrastructure up to par, because only then we can have the institutional infrastructure working for everybody and in a fair way. My second point is our world is moving so much faster than the world I grew up in. I always tell Eleni, I always tell a story how my granddaughter taught me about the speed of change. I was telling her how when I was her age, she was then 5, there was no TV, no computers. Yeah. She looks up at me and says, "Oh, so you only had iPads." and the point I'm making is that going to your very, very important comment on crypto filling gaps is that if we don't come up with sound institutional frameworks and regulatory frameworks, then we do risk vacuum to be filled by unreliable. I mean, people call, for some reason, the world decided that crypto is money. Well, when it is issued by private issuers backed by assets, it is a kind of a high investment opportunity, and it can function in a sense of complementing money. When it is not backed by assets, even if it is called coin, it's not money. It is a speculative investment. But it can trick people. And we know that if we don't play our role, governments, central banks, international financial institutions, we are creating that vacuum and risks to our people, to our citizens. Absolutely. So get the job done.
That is the risk. Round of applause for BNB. Governor Jairi, before we say goodbye, closing statement from you, sir.
Simplement, je ne voudrais pas laisser l'impression de pessimisme, surtout pour un pays hôte et surtout pour les routes sur Marrakech. Je pense qu'il y a peut-être 3 étages. L'étage qui est national, je pense que c'est le groupe de réflexion parce qu'il y a une spécificité à tout un chacun. L'étage régional, je pense que Bouna a été un système de paiement sur lequel on a travaillé, qui a été très dur et qui, à un moment donné, on ne croyait pas qu'il allait aboutir, et qui finit d'aboutir et qui commence à avoir de bons résultats. Il y a la réflexion au niveau de la BCA en ce qui concerne l'Afrique et le système de paiement africain. Il faut les réussir, bien sûr, mais il y a surtout aussi, vous, madame, avec la BRI, avec la Banque mondiale, eh bien, l'étage supérieur, qui est l'étage de la coopération internationale. Ben, tout ça doit fonctionner de façon harmonieuse. Évidemment, ce n'est pas facile, mais il faut qu'on ait en tête cela. Et la coopération est là qui peut énormément aider. Quand j'ai dit le groupe de travail, nous le faisons avec l'assistance Fonds et Banque mondiale. Nous faisons partie des comités BRI, sur le hub d'innovation, sur les groupes de travail. Et surtout, nous avons les relations directes avec les banques centrales. Nous avons été en relation avec la Banque du Canada, de l'Angleterre, de l'Autriche, de la France. Et là, c'est quelque chose d'extraordinaire. C'est ce que j'appelle la communauté d'admiration mutuelle que sont les banques centrales. Ben, tout ça aide pour qu'on puisse peut-être pas dans le court terme, mais étape par étape, bien arriver à la construction de ce qui est un changement énorme. Ce qui est bien, c'est que les nouvelles générations qui viennent ben, sont terriblement connectées. Alors j'espère que ça va aider à faciliter les solutions, parce que c'est eux qui seront les utilisateurs de cette monnaie sur laquelle nous allons devoir travailler. Donc, restons optimistes.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to our fantastic panel. MD, thank you, Governor Jackery, Gouverneur BROU, and of course, Abdul Rahman. Thank you so much. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for my fantastic panel. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I will see you all in Marrakesh in October. Very excited about that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.